Hi, everyone. This is Mary Keurig with Frontrunners Innovate magazine. And as you know, we like to drop in interviews with people who are in the know around the world as far as financing and funding goes for innovators. And we have one such expert with us today, and this is Sara Wimmercranz. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Wimmercranz. It's okay.
Okay, and she's out of Sweden and with Backing Minds. And so we're going to find out what she knows about finance and funding and investments that can help you, but also, if there's an investor looking, because we do get a lot of investors who are impact hungry, let's say. And so there could be some nuggets here that she'll share with you that will be helpful for you as well. So innovators and investors, pay attention. So Sara, tell us a little bit about you, what brought you to doing the work that you're doing now, and give us a little bit of genesis on Backing Minds.
Yeah, so I was actually sitting on the other side of the table. I was the founder of an e-commerce company called Footway that I started with a few other people in 2010. And we raised a lot of capital doing that, and we grew really, really fast. So I learned so much about being on that side and what I want, like what kind of investors that actually contributed to our business and who did not, because you'll be surprised of how much not like very annoying capital that there is out there. So very early on, I met a lot of founders who for some reason did not have access to capital. And me and my co-founder of Backing Minds, Susan, thought a lot about that and were looking into statistics about it. And we saw very early on that a lot of founders did not reach the capital. And it was not based on the fact that the companies were not successful. It was merely a kind of a phenomenon where capital remained in very homogeneous networks of the city centers, and very much surrounded around the banking world and the business schools. And to be very, very frank, what we saw in the statistics was that only to raise capital, you should either be a Swedish man or bring one.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, that puts it in perspective,
and,
doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And that's that statistics, or that goes for all over the world. Actually, the money remains in the city centers, and a lot of very talented founders are left out. So for us, this was a really interesting opportunity, but we had one company each. She was also running another e-commerce company, but all of a sudden, we talked so much about this. So after 6 years of running my company, who now has, I think this year we'll have a turnover of 2 billion Swedish crowns. So it's been a very successful story. We also got listed on NASDAQ. So all the experiences we kind of gained from our companies, we put into a new VC called Backing Minds. And what we do is that we are very data driven, and we find the hidden gems. And we of course work with deal flow, and we have seen that our deal flow is unique, because very much of, I think, the ones we've been building companies ourselves, and maybe stick out a little bit at a very homogeneous industry. But also we want to turn it a little bit around, and we work with what we call deal find, very data driven, to find the gems before everyone else does. And our first investment was in a company that is a digital competitor to Western Union. They lived in almost like a no-go zone in Swedish measurements, and they had Somali backgrounds, and they tried to contact more than 120 investors and didn't get one meeting, although they already had the right licenses from the authorities and were really successful already. And since we invested, they are like the almost the fastest growing fintech company in Sweden, and they're still in this no-go zone, building the company. 70 employees in a suburb, or like in the hoods, that were all just known for very burning cars and like bad things. So it's like been amazing to follow them and all our other founders, that they are very often outsiders with the wrong perspectives being exactly the right perspectives, doing what they do, and with capital and knowledge, helping them to build and scale and become just kicking in their field.
Fantastic. Well, the first question that comes to my mind is, how do you find these gems that you're looking for? And are they all Swedish?
So this first fund is a Swedish fund. We are racing to the next one, and it will be a European based, we think. What we do is that you have data on everything, like everything from typical like company numbers, but also like search volumes and social media trends, and a lot of different data points that you can connect to build your own brain that will be working all the time, finding the really relevant companies for you and your investment thesis. So that has been, we've built a little machine that will actually, help us find companies in the right stage and in the verticals that we have pointed out that could be interesting for the future. So that is what we call the deal find model. But we also work with deal flow, of course, just being all over the place and meeting everybody that has something to say.
Fantastic. So you don't have a particular vein that you work in, like say healthcare. It could be other things. It matters if the data works for you.
Exactly, and we want it to be scalable. That's the most important thing, which very often leads us to tech, of course, somehow. And we also want it to, we believe that the most successful companies will be the one that also have a very long-term strategy, and that is very often actually making the world a better place. That is, we're not at all an impact investor, but we believe that our return will be better if we really look at that angle as well.
Well, I can kind of get the gist of your strategy there. So when you look at Europe as being maybe the next raise and what you do there, is there a particular, few industries that you're necessarily looking there? Because, as we know across the globe, what maybe is most important here may not be the thing that's most important somewhere else.
So we have a few.
Pandemic is important, but
yes,
but
totally,
beyond that,
totally, unfortunately,
yeah.
No, but I would say like it's been a really rough time, but we have seen that it's been it's also been pushing progress in a lot of areas. I would say that it has been made it even more possible to live anywhere in the world and still having what I said, like you could definitely live in the northern parts of Sweden and having a really like top job at Twitter in a few years. So I believe that this has pushed the possibilities for the countryside in a way we would not have imagined. And that raises a lot of possibilities, I think. And I hope that a lot of more investors will go out from the city centers and look more widely for potential. And for me, coming from the countryside, that is something I really, really, feel happy about. So that what the digitization could have brought has now the pandemic brought in a way, and that is very interesting. But we are looking at health tech. We have a few investments within health tech, and one of them is actually making sure that now when the net doctors or the doctors online have been growing so rapidly in the world, what we lack now is the possibility to actually do the diagnoses from a distance. So this is like a test company like developing their own tests with a technology platform that can connect the consumer or the patient with doctors, e-recipes and everything. So you can actually find out if you have tonsillitis, COVID-19, all the STDs without leaving your home, getting doctors help everything without leaving your home. And that has been the most successful company, of course, the last year, because she developed the first COVID-19 test for self-testing that was approved in Europe. So it's been a very good year for that company. But that is very interesting. I think all these pieces of the puzzle that are missing for us to be able to provide healthcare for people not having to visit facilities. And it's not just meeting a doctor online. You have to be able to provide them with the whole service package.
I think what we're moving toward when you say health tech is more of a precision medicine sort of thing. So it's precision and prescriptive. So it's not one size fits all.
No.
If you have this pain, then this is what you do.
No, and this is. I'm very glad that you say that, Mary, because it's been the healthcare system in all countries come from population perspective. But what is being driven in all other areas in the individual perspective, and also the individual need to control their own health, and that somehow has to meet, and technology can help that meet. So that from there, a lot of really exciting innovations are being born right now. I'm really looking forward to see the future, and I'm very sure it will benefit the person in the end, the people in the end.
You talk about data. Then data not only is what attracts you, data is what keeps things rolling and shows you your impact, and your ROI is rolled into part of that. So is there one thing in particular that you pull out that you look at with that is you feel like is most important, or maybe the top couple of things that you look at with that?
For me, it's like we want the company to have a revenue. It would be really nice, like to see like the more they can show from real data, and not just guessing for the future. It's very positive. But for us, it's like the most important thing is that the founders have a very tight connection to their customers, that their product fit their customer base, and that's we have some methods of finding out how well they know their customers, because that would be like a KPI, or like a way for us to know if they're going to grow as big as they can, because they're very often early stage, so they might not have the numbers needed from the background. So that is we have some ways of evaluating how close they are to the customer data, and how that can help them grow.
How important is it that they have an exit strategy, or does that not concern you guys?
I mean, it would definitely concern me if they say I will never sell this company. That would concern me. But it would concern me, as much if they say like, I will make so much money of this in 5 years, blah blah blah. I want to feel the passion. I want them to be obsessed with what they're doing. And of course, we discussed that a lot about different exit strategies to see that we have common grounds. But for me, it's not so impressive if the first meeting they talk about how much, if you go into my company, you will earn this much and this much. It's not. Now I want I come from the village of IKEA, so I grew up in
Yes.
in a very like low scale way of building companies. I want to
Yeah. Okay. And finally, what is it that they have to have that gets your attention first? If you look for, for a company that you think is going to fit with you, is it a pitch deck? Is it a one pager or a splash page? What is it that gets your attention, or what is it that you ask for or look for first?
I wish that we would see a world where the pitch decks wouldn't matter as much. For me, it's like, hanging out with their customers, hanging out with their employees, like just spending time building their companies is a dream that I want to, make happen for all the founders out there. The amount of time founders spend on pitching, mingle, making sure they know the right people, it's not relevant. It's like, it's so much the 18th century for me. It's like we have data for everything. They should be able to focus on the right things and not, trying to please me before, so I want to see that they actually, grow their company, and they know their customer, and they have an amazing team. For me, the more I work with this, the team just, it's key. Sometimes I see like really bad products, but a really good team that I just know will, solve any problem in the world. And that's more important.
That's great. One of the best, I think, accelerator programs in the world, Y Combinator, one of their big, I guess, themes is user, know your users. Be communicating with your users. Forget everybody else. Just communicate with your users for the first like 2 years.
Forget everyone else, even the investors.
Just talk to your users.
If you know your user, the investor will show up.
So yeah, you're right along with those ideas. Any last words of wisdom you would share with maybe an investor rather than a founder that you think would be useful for them, that you found useful for you in what you're doing?
I think that try to think about how you can provide most value, and talk to your founders about that. How can I help? Because very often you just come in with your Excel sheet and you ask for reports, and just first make sure you're not being annoying capital, and then ask how you can be valuable
I
capital.
want to ask you about what annoying capital means.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's someone asking for the wrong things in the wrong time and not being there in the right timing, because it's like, as a founder, you know, it's ups and downs all the time. And having an investor that cares every day, also in the bad days, is key when you grow this.
You need a micromanager either. So, I mean, if you can help it, right?
Exactly. So much exciting to say about this, but
yeah, this is great. I appreciate it, Sara. Thank you so much for your time. This is wonderful. I love Sharzad for putting us together, and we'll check in again. There are a couple of things that you said that I think I want to touch base with you later about in terms of innovators and where you're going with things, because I think maybe there might be a couple of introductions we can do there. So,
oh yeah,
wonderful.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you
so
so
nice
much,
talking
Sara.
to you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.